The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
People get ready for the train to come. You don't need no baggage, you just need on board. You need everything to hear the diesels humming.
Hello, everybody out there listening to ARM Radio tonight. We are being broadcast live from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to our show, All Aboard, with me, Donald Whisman, and my co-host, Todd Doyle. Todd, you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody out there listening on ARM Radio. Donald Whisman and I are in a group on Facebook called Trump 2020 ! If you'd like to follow us for live videos and follow along with the group, all members are welcome to join, and we also do a monthly giveaway for patriotic items. We're pro Donald Trump, and our group was dedicated to getting him reelected if he runs in 2020.
Yes, thank you, Todd. And yeah, if you're a patriot and you love Donald Trump and you love your country, tell your family and friends to tune in on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on ARM Radio. Listen to us. Join our group at Trump 2020, but don't forget the exclamation point. It's all Patriots, it's all Trump. But anyway, I want to get this show started. You guys all know the day after tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there listening. And I want to send a special happy Thanksgiving and a big God bless you to all the men and women serving in our military, especially the ones serving across seas. They're not spending these holidays with their family, and I really feel sorry for them out there. And we should all give blessings to those men and women, even to our police officers and our firefighters. They put their lives on the line every day for us, we the people, the citizens of this great nation. And yes, Todd, I do support President Trump. And Todd, Trump is 71 years old. He was born June 14th, 1946. Because he was asking the other day, Todd, so I figured I'd go ahead and tell you.
Right.
And yes, he was asking about Ted Turner. Yes, he is still alive. He's 78 years old. Now Ted has a son. I don't know if you know that, but his name's Teddy Turner. And years back, he said that his father, his father was married to Jane Fonda, right?
Right.
Well, he made claims that Jane Fonda turned his father into a liberal. Thanks, Jane. Or should I say, Hanoi Jane, because you guys all know Jane Fonda, she was a real big anti-spokeswoman against anti-Vietnam spokeswoman. In 1972, she went to Hanoi. That was in North Vietnam. Now, that was the enemy that we were fighting in Vietnam. And she started this thing called the FTA, that meant Free the Army. And a lot of people started using it as F the Army, which I didn't like that. Which she did a lot of things, Todd, against Bob Hope. And Bob Hope was in the USO, that United Service Organizations, and they went around and they provided all kinds of entertainments for our soldiers during wartime. And she just did bad things, Todd, against Bob Hope. And he was a really good man, Bob Hope was. I mean, you got anything you want to say about Bob Hope, or did you?
But not about Bob Hope. I know that was a little before my time with the Vietnam War. I know the men and women, men back then came home, and there was a lot of discord in the country over that war. And I remember seeing some photographs. Wasn't John Kerry right there with Fonda holding protest signs?
I think so. And Todd, a lot of those men that came home from Vietnam, do you know a lot of those poor men were spit on and called baby killers and stuff? I mean, right. I guess that was the 70s, the early 70s. I was just a kid, but I heard stories. I think those Vietnam soldiers, some of them are treated really bad when they came home, Todd. They were, man, and it's a shame.
They were exposed to Agent Orange, too, over there. And that left a lot of them with PTSD, and my heart goes out to all the servicemen and women that are fighting for our country right now and in the past, and I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving and a great Christmas coming up.
Exactly, Todd, past and present. We got a God bless. Send a big God bless you out to all of them people. They deserve it, Todd. But anyway, let's start talking now. What we do, me and Todd, every week, we try to bring up some late-breaking news, and then we'll talk about some subjects, things that are going on in the country, out of the country. But I'm going to start out some news that I heard. It's about sanctuary cities. Now, just yesterday, Tom, a U.S. district judge by the name of William Orrick. Now, he was appointed by Barack Obama. He has put up a new roadblock to stop President Trump's efforts to fight illegal immigration. Monday, Judge Orrick ruled that the temporary block he had put in place in April, I guess Trump, he put a block on Trump's, Trump is trying to defund these sanctuary cities, take the money from them.
Right.
He put a block up in April. Now, he said that he stopped it permanently now. So I guess that he thinks he can stop our president from defunding these sanctuary cities. Put yourself that if you are an illegal alien, it is against the law. You cannot pick and choose laws, Todd. You know that.
Right. I would like to add something on this for those out listening. Jeff Sessions came out swinging in an interview he gave to the Federalist Society, and he said that it's over with the Department of Justice, with judges trying to overrule the president, especially regarding the travel ban. So he's sending a clear message to the judges that injunctions, whether permanent or temporary, for like this travel ban stuff, these injunctions they filed, they can't supersede the president. There has to be it needs to be handled on a case-by-case basis with the plaintiff or the victim in the situation. I think Sessions is getting the Department of Justice in order. I think it's been basically criminalized for the past 8 years, and we have evidence of that. So I think he's trying to clean it up, and I'm giving him one last chance, and hopefully the right things will happen and the dominoes will start to fall very soon.
Yeah.
Which for those listening, Donald, maybe you should tell them about the story we heard that turned out not to be true.
Oh yeah, there was a story going around, you guys. Let me find it here. That there was a story going around social media that the United States Marines stormed the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. They was claiming about 2,200 Marines. They went into the CIA headquarters, and the conspiracy theorists were saying that Trump was in there trying to remove the rogue elements. Well, come to find out, you can't believe everything you read, because I called the FBI today, a department of FBI here in Dayton, Ohio, and they said it was totally fake news. But, Todd, getting back to this judge that says that Trump cannot defund these sanctuary cities over these illegal aliens. Now, I told you that law is law. You can't pick and choose law. Now, when it comes to illegal immigration, I just want to tell everybody what the law states, our federal law. Excuse me, I got to catch my breath here, you guys. I'm pretty fat, and I get out of breath easy. But anyway, what is the law on illegal immigration in the United States? Well, it states in the United States, illegal immigration refers to the act of foreign nationals violating American immigration policies and laws through the entering or remaining in the country without receiving proper or authorization from the federal government. So basically, staying in the country without permission or after your visa or authorized stay has expired, you are considered illegal. You are breaking the law.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, how can you though, Todd, how can a judge sit back, and he's appointed as a judge, even though he's appointed by a liberal president? Why does that judge think gives him power to supersede the law? We have laws.
Well, Donald, if you remember when Donald Trump took over office, Obama started going around talking to all these judges all around the country. He went to Hawaii. He went out and got the Hawaii judge that put in the first injunction against the ban. This whole criminal enterprise is out dead set on undermining Trump and stopping him at every turn. And anyone appointed by Obama or who's well connected with Hillary, all of those people are suspect to be co-opted into taking action against the President of the United States. And I think it's terrible. And I wished that story about the Marines at the CIA were true.
I would say that true, yes.
Because there are rogue elements of the CIA and other intelligence agencies that are Obama and Hillary holdovers from her time in the State Department. And I wish that those people could be purged from our intelligence agencies, because they are not pro-America at all in the least if they support these criminals at large.
Well, I'm kind of getting upset over everybody talking about our president, and I'm going to get winded. I know I'm going to get winded here, but I'm going to tell you something about our president, the 45th president of these here United States of America, President Trump, Todd, and everybody out there listening. President Trump, he's bringing down our national debt. He's helping our veterans. He's restoring law and order. He's trying to fix our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our electrical grid. He's trying to stop the drug epidemic. He's trying to lower taxes. He's creating jobs. He's trying to make a better trade agreements with China and all these other countries. He has tried to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, which they denied him on, which I hope
which
he does.
people can't afford, and it's not affordable.
Yeah, it's not so Affordable Health Care Act. They call it Obamacare. I don't like it at all. He's also trying to stop North Korea. Donald Trump did not start North Korea. He did not create North Korea. He is also trying to stop illegal immigration. He's making our country safe again. He is bringing back the name of God to our country. He's trying to build our military back up. He's making America great again. How could anyone not like him? He is for we the people. We the people. We're what matters in this country. And this man is for we the people. How could anybody out there not like this man?
Well, it's their ideology, Donald. Liberals, I mean, think about it. If he's working so hard and he's doing so many great things for the country that most presidents failed in the past to do, why won't the liberals get behind him? And you got to think there's two different kind of liberals. There's moderates and there's extreme leftist liberals.
Oh, we're going to talk about them.
Now listen,
socialists. We're going to get on them.
Listen, some of the moderates, they're actually coming around to Trump, and it's a weird thing because they hate it. They hate knowing that, they're coming around to him actually keeping his promises. Everybody in the country is the first time, Donald, it's the first time that we've seen a president actually be able to keep his promises. So even some of the moderates are like, whoa, he's actually keeping his promises, So the media hypes it up like he's hated, around the country, but he's still packing houses and arenas every time he goes out to talk to the people.
You're right, Todd. It is what you called it, the weaponized media, and I believe that, Todd. You're absolutely correct. But
the ATTNs.
Yeah, the anti-Trump news networks.
NNs. Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, Todd, now you'll find this surprising, and I want to tell everybody before I say this story, I am not a racist. Before I say this is the new. The FBI came out with this. The FBI states that hate crimes against white Americans are skyrocketing. The Muslims are claiming they are hated because of their religions. Blacks are calling for change due to racial injustice. And groups of Latinos, they're saying the president is a racist because he wants to secure our borders. These cries, they point to another argument, which is that white people are privileged. The hate against white people is spreading like a weed, Todd. A new FBI report indicates that hate crimes committed against whites are the fastest growing racial hate crimes in the United States, and the number each year is growing. Can you believe that? White hate crimes against white men is rising. It's the biggest crimes in the country right now.
I have not seen that report, but I wouldn't be surprised. During the election, we saw constant, where they would fake the crime and the person would come out later and it would be the one that reported the crime that actually did it. The games that liberals play, like there was a black woman, I forget what state, she spray painted the N-word on her garage, busted out her own car windows, and then it turned out later she did it. She wanted to say it was a hate crime against her. And the same thing with some of the Muslims that are saying they're approached. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There are racists in the country, but some of the things, some of the things that were politicized during the election came straight from the Democrat, encouraging that sort of behavior to make it look like Trump supporters were out doing this to people randomly. And I'm not saying anything didn't happen, but I'm just saying that, a lot of it was hyped up and the news stories would come out later that it was the victim that actually committed the heinous act against themselves. So that's the mentality of the left. They want any news story they can get that will to help support their argument, Donald, like a false narrative. Even if they're not really the victim, they're the perpetrator. They don't care, and all this stuff with white people, being targeted. It's tied into communism, and they say the only way to eliminate racism is to kill all the white people. And then there's the white guilt that's promoted at colleges, the white shame, the white privilege arguments that they're. It's like, when does it stop? When does it stop?
I don't know, Todd. I wish I had that answer. And you was talking about Jeff Sessions earlier. You think he's really coming aboard? And just recently, Todd, maybe you can talk more about this. Jeff Sessions is doing something about revoking citizenships of some of these people who are committing sexual misconduct.
Pedophiles. Illegal immigrant pedophiles are going. If they have legal citizenship, they're going to lose their citizenship because they're pedophiles. We've had over 3,500 arrests since Donald Trump took over office, and you mentioned Jeff Sessions coming aboard. I personally think that Jeff Sessions has been on board. I just wondered at certain times if he was co-opted or not by maybe possibly the Clintons, because he was the first senator to endorse Trump. But I think now that after hearing his speech to the Federalist Society, I would encourage people to YouTube that and watch it themselves. It seems to me that he is very pro-law and pro-constitution. He wants lawful government, and that's so important because we haven't had it for 30 years. But these pedophiles from other countries, even if they gain their citizenship, if they became a pedophile and a criminal, that's what they talked about in the campaign, wanting to get rid of the bad people, the real bad guys, and that's the bad hombres, and I think that's what they're doing.
Well, going back to the white privilege and all this white stuff, it really, I got this off of Dennis Michael Lentz's app. I use Dennis Michael Lentz. I like him. He tells the truth. But he was reporting that he wasn't reporting. He said the Associated Press was reporting that Trump is being accused of appointing too many white judges. So Dennis Michael Lentz asked the question. He said, so tell me the magic number. He said, is it 20%? 40%, 50%, or would the what do you call it? The political correction police. That's a good word. I like that. Political correction police prefer 0%. Now look out, Trump. Trump is nominating white men. The American American federal courts. How about reporting the important fact, which is the fact that Trump is not appointing liberal blocks that Obama did. How about pointing out how the liberal judges are destroying our daggone legal system right now, and they are destroying our legal system.
That's what all this resistance is from the judges. But one thing I want to point out, liberals thrive on the argument of victimhood. They thrive being the victim. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I believe you.
The Huffington Post actually put out a picture saying something about all of Trump's staffers or something. It was all white people, and it said the caption was, "How white could Trump's staffers get? Take a look for yourself." And it was all these white people. And then there was actually a tweet prior to that they forgot. They tweeted a photograph of their staff, and it was all white people. So I mean, this argument that's what I mean about victimhood. It doesn't matter if they're wrong or they do the same thing, or they're just as guilty, or they're doing the same thing, the same exact thing. It goes back to, as long as they can say Trump did it, don't look at what they're doing themselves in their own offices.
It's always bad about Trump, though, Todd. I mean, you've heard of Tucker Carlson, right? He's the news anchor for Fox News. Well, he actually, this past week, he sent a stern message to Trump and the GOP over this DACA thing. You know what DACA is, that Dreamer Act. Well, last Wednesday, he basically said to Trump and the GOP not to ignore the rule of law when it comes to addressing the Dreamers. Now the Democrats are bragging about DACA. It's being a done deal already. They think Trump is going to cave in or something and give full-blown amnesty to 800,000 illegal alien children brought into the USA by their parents. Now, Todd, keep one thing in mind. Many of these kids are now in their 20s. I don't think it's fair for all the people from South America that came here legally the right way. I just don't think it's right. DACA is right for the country. DACA was actually unconstitutional.
There's a lot of laws that are going to be overturned because of they weren't lawful. That's if you pay attention to what Sessions said, Jeff Sessions, he talked about how the power grabs and the unlawful way things were done. Even the Affordable Health Care Act wasn't lawful.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
What the hell's wrong with these liberals? What the hell's wrong with them? I mean, the extreme left is just tearing the country apart. And like you were saying about all the great things Trump wants to do, why would they not want the country to be great? Do they have a problem with a good society?
Well, Todd, now we got to go into it. Now, let's take our time with this. And I really want everybody to understand this. Now, Todd, I know yourself. Now, there is middle ground Democrats that do love their country. I'm not going to sit here and say every Democrat doesn't love their country. Now, my belief is the far left. They're not even Democrats anymore, Todd. They're socialists. They aren't like the Bernie Sanders. You know they are.
I would diagnose them as socialist bordering on communist because of Sanders.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders opened the floodgates for these types to come out of the woodwork like cockroaches.
Well, here's my whole point about tonight is, I talked to a very knowledgeable man. He's a rich guy. He's into stocks and bonds. And what he told me was, he said, Don, our mission now is to make the moderate Democrats understand what's going on with the far left ones, with this socialism. Now,
right.
I'm going to read to you, actually, what is socialism? I'm going to read to you the actual what socialism is, okay?
Okay.
Now I'm going to highlight one word on this paragraph. Let me clear my breath here. Socialism. It's a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. This, my friend, is almost the same as communism. Now, I did underline the word community. Now think about that. Think about that for 1 minute. All right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you what communism stands for, okay? Communism. Now, this is really close to socialism. Communism. It's a political theory derived by this guy named Karl Marx. He was some scholar from Germany. But anyway, he was advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned. And each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. Nothing is owned by individuals. Now, I underlined the word publicly owned. Now, doesn't socialism and communism kind of sound the same, Todd?
They're all about the collective. They're all about groups instead of the individual. That's the difference with the Republican Party. The Republican Party is all about individual rights and the power of the individual. The Democrats, especially on the extreme end of the spectrum on the left,
thank you.
They are socialist and they are communist. So if you're a moderate Democrat that appreciates your rights in this country, appreciates your right to own a weapon per the Second Amendment, or the right to speak out or protest, or any of those things, if you do not fall in line with socialism and communism, then you are not part of the majority of the Democratic Party. As we've said many times before, the Democratic Party has blew up and splintered. It's in a million pieces. It will probably never be back together again due to the corruption that's been exposed during the 2016 election. So if you're a moderate and you're looking for a new home, join us at the Republican Party, because no matter what you've been told or led to believe, the Republicans are a very broad open tent, and we welcome many.
All right, now that you said that was great, Todd. I loved what you said. Now you know what America is. We're a capitalism country. We're capitalist.
Right.
Now, I'm going to read the meaning of capitalism, and now this is totally different from socialism and communism. We live in a capitalist society. Now here it is. Capitalism. It's an economic and political system in which the country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. Now right there, I underlined the word private owners for profit. Now,
right.
You see how socialism was community, communism was publicly owned. Now, capitalism is private owners. That means in our great republic, and yes, it is a republic. I hate to say it. A lot of people think we live in a democracy, but no, we live in, actually, it's a republic. But our republic is a capitalistic country. It means if you go to college and all this and that, you can become anything you want to be in America. You can get rich in America. You can do what you want to in America. That means government. Here, I'm going to tell you, basically, communism socially, in a nutshell. Everything is run by the government. We, the people, don't want big government. My goal right now is to split up the Democratic Party. Right now, Todd, it is.
It's already happening. That's what I mean.
But they need to split up. They need to understand about the far left one.
They do.
The socialism crap.
They do, and you might be able to actually reason with some moderates, Donald. But the extreme lefties, I mean, they're the ones that are dressing up like Antifa, bringing knives to rallies and spitting and kicking on, hitting innocent families with balloons full of urine. I mean, these people are disgusting animals. Is a good word for it.
You're right, Todd. Now, can we go over a few little things? I got 4 little things here. They're called attributes. Now, I'm going to be talking about socialism, capitalism, communism. Now, I'm going to give you an attribute, Todd, then I'm going to tell you what socialism, capitalism, and communism is. First attribute, factors of production are owned by. Now, in a socialism society, they're owned by everyone. In a communism society, everyone. See, them two are the same. Now, you go to capitalism, it's called individuals. It says individuals.
Right.
All right. Second attribute, factors of production are valued for. Now, socialism says usefulness to the people. Communism says usefulness to the people. Now, what does capitalism say? Profit. Profit. That means you can profit. Okay?
Right.
My third attribute, allocation decided by. Now, this is a big one, Todd. Allocations decided by. Now, in socialism, it's just everything's decided by a central plan. Same with communism, a central plan. Now, capitalism, it's got to do with law of demand and supply. I think that's really speaks
the
a
free
lot.
market.
A free market. There
Right.
you, hey, Todd, that's why I love you. I'm going to start calling you Mr. Computer, okay?
Well,
You got like a 50 terabyte hard drive in your head or something. It's really good. I love it.
Well, the free market determines supply and demand. It's been working since this country started. It's made millionaires. It's created wealth for the individual. People that have utilized that means of starting their own business or following the American dream, all of that. You know, the power of the individual to start a company and earn profit, all of those in the free market is what makes America a great country. And Donald Trump is actually an exemplary persona of that
free
American
market
dream. Yeah, of the free market.
And the free market, yeah.
That's right.
He did get a loan from his
embodies
father,
it.
but who wouldn't get a loan from their father if his father is rich?
I
Anybody
wish you wouldn't have even brought that up, because that pisses me off so bad that they started everything about him that they could look for. They try, even when Obama said to the business owners, "You didn't build that; someone else built your business." These people are out of their friggin' minds, Donald. I wish you wouldn't have even brought that loan thing up.
Well, I'll bring up something else that's going to boil your mind. I don't know. You'll probably remember this one. Now, you remember back, I don't know which election it was. One of the times Obama was running for a campaign for president, he told, I think it was Joe the plumber, about spreading the wealth around. You remember that statement?
I think it was in 2012.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. If the liberals, here's what the liberals like doing. They love to go after the rich and the big corporations. But if you do that, now I'm a poor man, Todd, but no poor man has ever given me a job. You cannot go after the rich. You can't go after the corporations and tax the crap out of them. You can't tax the crap out of the rich. You know why? They made that money fair and square. Why should the government just step in and take money just because a man made it legally? I mean, that's what the American dream is all about. Getting out here and making something of yourself. And by God, I don't think the government should get involved and tax a rich man out of business, because a poor man never gave me a job, Todd.
I agree with you 100% that there's no thinking behind that would support it, except for communists believe that if they can take over these companies and these means of production, they can have their utopia society where they have a communist workers' party. They already have a constitution written, and that they actually believe that they can turn the United States into a communist country. And what bothers me is when they did the bailouts, and I think we talked about this last week, where they took over GM, they bailed out some of the banks and other things.
That's part of communism.
Well, yeah, where government takes ownership.
Yes.
But you had people, if you remember, like Hillary Clinton and others that were saying some of these banks were, quote, too big to fail. That's not true at all. They were managing money incorrectly, they should have failed, and that would have corrected in the marketplace, in the free market. But they didn't allow the correction. Obama bailed them out, which only prolongs the correction that has to happen, because our government is not supposed to print money out of thin air to bail out companies that are corrupt and have failed business practices where they go under. So spending your way out of a recession only prolongs the problem. That's what people don't understand. A lot of these moderate to extreme left liberals, they don't understand that, the price of bread is going up. We're going to end up like Venezuela, where bread's $10 a loaf. I mean, there's no food on the streets. People are starving down there. The communism and socialism, they fail every country they're implemented in. So right. It's not a dream to have that. The fact these people want free college is a sign. So many came out for Sanders. They wanted free college, free education, free health care, all that free stuff, but they don't know how they're going to pay for it, besides taking it from someone who has more. And if you take from someone who has more long enough, eventually they're not going to have a job for you, and that's how it turns into a communist workers' party, when everyone has nothing left. And we can't destroy the friggin' country, people. We can't do it. We can't destroy the country. Well, these people have to be called out. They have to be called out for the ideologies that are hurting the nation. Oh. It's not just one, it's a bunch of them.
Oh, you're right. And I'll tell you what, though, Todd, Bernie Sanders was just the beginning. It's people like Bernie Sanders that scares the living daylights out of me. I mean, he's starting out as a socialist. Just imagine. I mean, you knew all the millennials. A lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, a lot of them loved Bernie Sanders. Just imagine, every year, we've got, 3 more years until the 2020 election? But just think of all these socialists that these colleges are breeding right now that are going to be voting age when it comes time for Trump to run again, or even next year. Just think about all these millennials that have been graduating college. I mean, there's literally thousands of them out there, Todd. And you're right. When you start attacking, here's what the media wants us to believe. I was always raised to think that the rich man was evil. No, Todd, that's not right, because the rich do create jobs in this country. Right. Poor men do not create jobs. The rich man makes the jobs.
That's right.
I'm tired of it, Todd. I am so sick of this crap of attacking the rich just because they made it fair and square. We should not have our government go after them. It's not right. Like you said, people will start losing their jobs. What's going to happen, Todd? Like McDonald's, they're going to automate everything. They're going to automate everything eventually.
Right, I would agree with that, but I would also say, is it any surprise, though, Donald, if you think about it, where NAFTA kicked in and all the companies started going overseas, companies here started laying off, manufacturing shut down, we had zero GDP for most of Obama's 8 years. Is it any surprise that people started turning toward socialism to get things for free when they had no jobs, they had no income, they had no money, they couldn't find work because there was no work? People have to survive, and they think, well, so-and-so, like Bernie Sanders, is offering a solution. They're misled down the wrong path. And then we are so lucky as a country, and people, it might take 50 to 100 years to understand this, but we are so lucky as a country that we actually have an independent person in office who's getting things done, keeping his promises, and actually wants to make deals for the American people and not their Clinton Foundation donors like has been going on for the past 8 years. I believe people in leadership positions understand exactly what happened for the past 8 years with Obama, and probably somewhat before that, going back to the original Clinton years. I think the corruption has ran rampant. I think they know what happened and who was involved, and I really do feel like it's going to take down half the United States government.
It will too, Todd.
I think Rhino Republicans were involved, Donald, like John McCain.
Well,
he sat next to Hillary Clinton when they passed the bailouts, and they laughed about it. And I watched it on C-SPAN, and it was disgusting, because how can our government print this money? It gets into a whole nother topic, which is lawful money, but how can they print money out of thin air that reduces the value of every dollar in all of our pockets every single time they do that? Every time they print money out of thin air, it makes the dollar in your pocket and the dollar in mine worth less. Yeah.
And doesn't that cause what you call inflation?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Inflation, yes.
Yeah, it creates the perfect storm for inflation to skyrocket. It's terrible.
Well, Todd, let's talk about this for a minute. And I know you can come up with some stuff on this. I just want to clear the air up a little bit on a couple of little things about our country. And
okay.
I want to hear your intake on each subject, okay? Now, the news media will have you believe that our country is a democracy. It's a democracy, but Todd, our country did not start out as a democracy. And you agree with me, our country is a republic. Will you agree with me, yes or no?
Yes, I agree.
Now, what I'm going to read to you, Todd, is the meaning of a republic, okay? Then you tell me what you think. Now, this is the meaning of a republic. A state in which supreme power is held by the people.
Amen.
And their elected representatives, which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. Now talk about that, Todd. The people and the monarch.
Well, I want to talk about
republic.
You're right. I want to talk about the most beautiful thing in the Constitution, if people care to read it, is the actual power of the people to dismantle and create a new government if we ever feel the need. We have a safety net written into this Constitution that says we can dismantle this government if it ever becomes something against the people. And that's what you have to look at it from that point of view. Has the government really been helping people, or have they been making people dependent on bigger government? And I think it's the latter. I think the government has been making people more dependent on the government so that its tentacles can grow and get bigger. And I think when government gets into school, it gets into your personal life, your religious beliefs. When it gets into all those areas of your life, it's out of control and it's tyrannical. So that's the best part of the Constitution, is if it ever reaches that point, we can start over. But you know what? Our documents are the envy of the world, and every other leader in every country honors our Constitution. And the saddest part of it is, Donald, these liberals could shit on it and not give two cents or 2 tears about it. They wouldn't care. It's disgusting.
Okay, so your favorite part of what a republic is, I think your favorite part of that is power
to the
held
people.
By the people.
That's right.
Now let's talk about a democracy. Now even myself, I thought we lived in a democracy. Okay?
Wrong.
I really believed it. No, this was years ago now. That's before I wisened up a little bit. I started opening my eyes and started really listening. All right, democracy. Now I want to hear your intake on this. This is the definition of a democracy, Todd. Now see if this is different from a republic. All right, democracy. A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. Now you tell me what the difference is in those two.
Collectivism. That's the difference. The individual and collectivism.
I love it.
Yeah. That's all it is. I mean, you have, the saddest part is, I mean, people want to believe that their representatives actually represent them. Try calling your congressman or congresswoman and actually getting them to do what you want them to do or vote a certain way. They're not going to do it 9 times out of 10. These people are bought and controlled and owned by special interest groups. That's all it is to it, and they're donors.
Well, to me, Todd, you are right. And the difference is actually between a republic and a democracy. The key difference between a republic and a democracy lies in the limits placed on the government by the law, which has implications for the minority rights. Both forms of government use a representational system. Now, they're kind of the same, but there's limit. It's got limits here. Now, this says limits placed on government. See, Republic, there is no. It's we the people. You see, and everything's lost there. Everything now.
The people are the controllers of the government that serves them. And
exactly.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Now, Todd, back in the old days, back when I think it was called the Constitutional Convention, back when they was actually forming our government. I was telling you about this earlier. Now, Ben Franklin came out of that Constitutional Convention. And a group of people gathered around old Ben, and they said, they asked old Ben Franklin, they said, Ben, what sort of government did the Gallaudates had create? What did they create? What kind of government what did they create? And his answer was, a republic, if you can keep it.
Right, because it's a special thing.
We lost it, though, Todd. We've lost most of it. Now, we only have remnants left of our republic. There is remnants, only remnants, Todd. And what are those remnants, Todd, that we have left of our republic? I can name 2 remnants left.
Go ahead.
Well, the 2 that I know of, you may know more, but the 2 that I know of, actually Les told me, is one of them is our electoral college. That's one of the remnants from an old republic, and our jury, having a jury trial.
Right.
It's one of the remnants left from our republic. The rest of it, I don't know where it went, Todd. The Constitution changed, and I think it was 1887 by Ulysses S. Grant. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that date. But the Constitution of the United States was changed. You know that, don't you?
I've heard of it. I haven't read the document.
Now, I'm not into it as much as Les is, but basically, I mean, there was something, I think it was the 13th Amendment was actually taken out. And somewhere in the old Constitution, Todd, it said that no barred lawyer, that means on the bar, I guess that got something to do with the monarchy over in England or Britain or whatever, but they were not allowed to become president of the United States. Now, how many presidents have we had that's been lawyers or attorneys? A lot of them. Todd, you're breaking up, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. You're sounding good now, brother.
I said the Bible also says, woe to the doctrine lawyers.
Well,
we've had a lot of them. We've had a lot of presidents that were lawyers.
Well, thank you, Ulysses S. Grant, for changing that. And another thing, too, Todd, the original Constitution of the United States wasn't in all capital letters. If you look at a Constitution right now, I'm sure every one of the letters are in capital letters. The original Constitution only had 2 capital letters in it. Think about that. Just think about that for a minute, man.
Yeah, what was the name of that act? Do you have that in front of you, Don? Because it's been a couple weeks.
I'm pretty sure it was the Act of 1887. I'm pretty sure of
18
that.
I'm not sure if that's the right date, but
1887. I'm pretty sure
it was something to do with D.C., wasn't it?
Crap, Todd. You asked me too quick, man. I'm sorry, but I will fact check that for you. I will get back next week. If anybody thinks I'm wrong or whatever, please join the group. Let me know that I'm wrong, because I don't have every date in my head, Todd. I just can't remember everything.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to remember if I could think of the name. We did talk about that, and it was interesting. I think it was the District of Columbia Act of 1856.
It might have been 56. I'm not sure.
Something to do with that. I can't remember.
Somewhere along the line, our Constitution was changed. And
right. Many people don't know that.
No, they don't, and it's scary stuff, Todd. It is really, really scary stuff. But moving on, I know we talked about all that, and I hope it's a little bit of education. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel stupid, because there is a lot of people out there that really doesn't know the difference between socialism and capitalism and communism. There's a lot of people out there that don't know the difference between a republic and a democracy. But I want to tell you something that came out of North Korea. This is pretty important to me. I'm into this North Korea stuff because Trump was left with a mess here. Like I said, Trump did not create North Korea. These other spineless presidents we had, they created North Korea. But it came out of North Korea, Todd. They declared Trump deserves the death penalty for insulting their leader, Kim Jong-un.
They're crazy.
Well, anyway, it said he didn't like to be called a fat. He didn't like to be called fat. I guess Trump made some kind of sarcastic tweet to him, but Trump told him not to underestimate us, and he told him not to try us. And the fat kid called our president. I'm going to tell you what he actually called our president. He said he was a lunatic old man. I think it's funny. Trump didn't create North Korea, and
This is
everybody
coming from
said he
Rocket
does.
Man.
This is coming from Kim Jong Un.
Okay.
Yes, Rocket Man. But you know, the media, they're like I told you last week. They're claiming that Trump is trying to start a nuclear war. Actually, I told you guys a long time ago, if somebody got a pimple on their butt, they're going to blame it on Donald Trump. And I'm just so sick of all this Trump blaming. They got to get off this crap, Todd.
They started this nuclear war, Trump's going to kill us crap back before he even won the election, Donald. It's been going on now for a year now, since before the election, that if Trump won, he would kill everybody. He shouldn't have the nuclear codes. He's just a big baby that with temper tantrums on Twitter, and he will just start throwing nukes and we'll all die. That's what they really think. And that man has been more presidential in the first week in office and done more for this country in the first 6 months in office than's ever been done before for we the people. So I'm sorry, liberals, you're wrong.
Do you remember Trump's inaugural speech? I'll tell you,
it was great.
The first 5 lines of his speech was more presidential than the last 6. The first thing I remember him saying, I give the country back to you, the people. I think that's what he said, and that right there, buddy, I'll tell you what, chills went up my spine that day, Tom.
It's the way it should be. I really believe that with Hillary Clinton sitting there behind him, that there was a possibility that when the military stepped out behind him, that they could turn to her and arrest her on the spot, and Obama as well. These people are criminals at large. If you look into it and research their crimes, the great book on it is Clinton Cash by Peter Schweitzer. It's a hard name to say, but
it is.
Clinton Cash. Buy the book, read about it. There is a ton of information, heavily documented the crimes of the Clintons. Kenneth Starr has a ton of information. If any of the feds listening want to talk to Kenneth Starr, he has a ton of circumstantial information. Anybody out there that takes 5 minutes to look into their history knows they're criminals at large.
Was Kenneth Starr the special prosecutor for the Clinton Monica Lewinsky old scam deal there with the dress and all that crap?
Yeah, but guess what happened, Donald? Let me tell you real quick. He uncovered more than just the Lewinsky affair and other things. He had a ton of circumstantial evidence on Vince Foster's death, on missing documents that were like happened with Hillary's emails. They were subpoenaed and then went missing. I mean, these people are dirty. They're good at what they do, being dirty. And
hey, wait a minute now. We cannot forget one man out there. Good old Mitch McConnell. Now we can't forget about good old Mitch. Now I know people are tired of hearing about Roy Moore, but you know he asked for Roy Moore to stand down. But why didn't Todd? I want to ask you this question. We only got about 9 minutes left, so let's make it quick because I want to give some shout-outs. But why did Mitch McConnell not tell this pervert named Al Franken, which actually a woman was asleep, and he was grabbing her by the breast? Now, why didn't Mitch ask Al Franken to step down? Why didn't he do that?
You're talking about how there's actual evidence against Al Franken and only allegations against Roy Moore.
Yeah,
I have no idea why the Rhino Republicans won't call. Even the Democrats are silent on Al Franken. I mean, and they talk about women's rights, and he's groping her on the plane while she's asleep, and there's a photograph of it.
Yeah,
but they say nothing when it comes to their own. So while they stick together like maggots on a shit pie, they actually don't turn on each other, and that's one thing that the Republicans should try to figure out, because it's disgusting the way they melt together even when it's shitty everywhere, and the Republicans can't get behind their president. McCain and McConnell and all of you Rhino Republicans. It's terrible.
The problem. Well, her name was Leanne Tweeden. That's the woman. She was asleep, and they were over there. I think they were doing something like Bob Hope, the USO tour. Al Franken actually used to be a comedian, by the way. But anyway, Todd, I never found him funny. You know what? I did find one thing funny about him. I think he's funny looking, but I don't want to talk about people. That's not me. But
you just did. But okay,
I know. I want to give my weekly shout-outs. Then I think before we close this out, me and you give a few patriotic quotes. And believe me, everybody out there listening to ARB Radio, me and Todd, We haven't even scratched the surface on issues and topics in this country. You guys, we're just getting started, so keep tuning in. I'm telling you, we're just getting started, you guys. Get your family and friends to listen to Armed Radio on Tuesday nights. Join Trump 2020 exclamation point. But let me give some shout-outs, Todd. If you got some people you want to shout out to, that's fine. But tonight, these are people that I know that are listening to our show. They listen every week. I want to give a big shout out to Tom Horn. He's a big patriotic guy in the country. He does a lot of good things. He makes things out of saw blades. He makes pretty pictures. Tom Horn, big shout out to him. Dave Coots, I want to give a big shout out to him. And you know this guy, Stephen Joseph Biddy, the man with the heart of gold. Todd, we got to give a big shout out to Biddy. Oh,
yeah, we have a lot of tremendously great group members in Trump 2020 exclamation point. We have a ton of very educated, smart people that love the nation, and we're trying to build an army so that we can get the right people elected in 2018 and to get Trump in there again in 2020 if he even wants to run like you've talked about, Donald.
Yeah, and three more. I got three more, Todd. These are very good people. Another guy, Chad Lipscomb. This man sent me, Todd, because I was having trouble with my videos. I was getting pixelated. He sent me, overnighted me, an 50-foot Ethernet cord. I know it was $80 value. Overnighted it to me. Chad Lipscomb, thank you. Another lady, Teresa Eisenroth. She watches. She don't watch us. She listens to our radio show every week, Todd. Teresa Eisenroth. She's a good lady. And Hattie White. She was really sick. I'm glad she's feeling better. Hattie,
That's
God
good
bless
news.
you. God bless you, Hattie. Now, Todd, now comes the good stuff. Did you write down any good patriotic quotes for this week, Todd?
Donald, I did not have time this week. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, if we got 5 minutes, I've got 5 quotes. Then you can say whatever you want to, Todd. It's all yours, okay?
Okay.
Until we say our closing statements. All right. My 5 patriotic quotes this week. Number 1, the cement of this union is the heart and blood of every American. That's by Thomas Jefferson. Number 2, where liberty dwells, there is my country. And Ben Franklin wrote that.
That's a good one.
Number 3, how you like this one, Todd? This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in. That's written by Theodore Roosevelt. Hey, he was the president. You remember Teddy Roosevelt, don't you?
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, number 4. Our country, right or wrong, when right, to be kept right, when wrong, to be put right. That was by some guy by the name of Carl Schurz. I don't know who he is, but I thought it was pretty good quote there. I liked it.
I like the quote, taxation is theft. That's a quote I like, and that goes out to the libertarians in the audience. Taxation is theft. I like Ron Paul, Rand Paul, all of those guys. Ron Paul to me was like the Constitutional Party of 2008 and 2012. He's getting older, and he's the father of Senator Rand Paul. And I just loved Ron Paul in 2008 and 2012.
Hey, but you know what? Les has been talking about, like, our country right now, the rights that have been taken away from, like, the homeless. Let's say the homeless, Todd. Do you know they lost their God-given right to go out here and forage for food and to fish without having a license? A homeless man can't even hunt for food, Todd, or fish. He has to have a license.
Right, I know, Donald. The way that's what I mean about taxation. All the licenses are hidden. They're all hidden taxes.
I got one more patriotic quote, Todd. I want you to tell me what you think about this one, okay?
Sure.
Before I tell you the author. There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America. How do you like that one?
That's a good one.
Do you know who wrote that one?
I do not.
It's a trick one now. You're going to hate the person who wrote it.
I don't know.
Bill Clinton wrote that one.
Read it again.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America. That was written by William Jefferson Clinton.
You know, one other mark he left was on the stain of Lewinsky's dress. So I'm not really thrilled with that quote on the second read.
Well, I had to give that one to you. You know, it sounded good until I seen the name, and I told myself I'm gonna write this down just to see what Todd says about it.
Yeah, he also signed NAFTA and sent the jobs overseas, and he also got impeached and didn't leave office. And one thing about impeachment we didn't talk about it was the Democrats trying to get Trump on impeachment.
Yeah, well, didn't we talk about that?
No.
I thought I did. The 5
No.
of impeachment. Well, let's talk about it real quick. Steve, his name is Representative Steve Cohen. He's a Democrat from, from Tennessee. But anyway, him and a few other House Democrats introduced 5 articles of impeachment against Trump. They're trying to get him for obstructing justice, for his decision to fire FBI Director James Comey. They're trying to get him for enormous clauses violating.
Wrong again, Democrats.
Undermining the independence of the federal judiciary and undermining the freedom of the press. That's wrong too.
They're crazy people.
They said the time has come to make clear to the American people and to this president that his train of injuries to our Constitution must be brought to an end through impeachment. This is a joke.
That's the hypocrisy of the liberal left, Donald. That's what we're trying to expose.
God
is exactly that kind of.
God bless everybody out there in ARM Radio. Thank you, and God bless you, and thank you for listening to our show tonight. All aboard. Tune in next week. We got more to come. Go ahead, Todd. End it off.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope everybody has a great holiday and a great Thanksgiving and a great Christmas, and drive safe, travel safe. It's the most traveled Thanksgiving in the past 10 years, thanks to our uptick in the economy. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
For the hopeless